Hi guys and welcome back. I hope you're getting comfortable because we've got a long one today. And let's hope that my cat is gonna participate. Right now she's climbing behind my monitor, so we will see. Um, anyway, let's jump into this build. I am building kind of Camp Half-Blood, but as dorms. And so that's why it's called Dorm Half-Blood. I currently have not finished the whole like Percy Jackson universe situation. I'm currently, as I'm recording this, reading The House of Hades. So I still have a lot to go until like I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. Sorry, my cat thinks that she can play with my Labubu. That is not your toy, queen. But you can sit on my lap now and you can join us for this whole video because we're only about 1 minute in and we've got like 30 more plus to go. It's a very big build and anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I'm not an expert on like the Percy Jackson universe at all. I did my best. I kind of obviously took creative liberties. I know a lot of people have probably made Camp Half-Blood with Adventure Awaits and also before Adventure Awaits. And I knew that that was just a really daunting task. And so I was like, okay, I will just do dorms. Because I don't think I've ever, well, I've done university housing, but I've never done a dorm video. And so I was like, okay, that would be kind of cool to do. And then also, it just seems a lot more approachable when you're just making a singular room. And even it wasn't even a singular room because as you'll see, I had, Demigod's share. We end up having 6 dorm rooms to make up for 12. Not necessarily the big 12, but we'll see in a second. And I think I threw away my postcard of who's with who, and you're gonna have to. Oh no, I didn't. Sick. I still have it. We have Ares and Athena, Aphrodite and Poseidon, Hades and Hecate, Zeus and Apollo, Hermes and Hephaestus, and then Dionysus and Demeter. Those are our 12 Greek gods that we have represented in this. I also cut out a good chunk of the floor plan, but I did leave some of it in. But towards, like there, I just like jumped and took out a whole bunch of it. Because I was like, okay, we can't leave all of this in. I can leave some of it so you can kind of see like the thought process behind it. But this video, when I first like uploaded it and put it 5 times speed, which is what I default it to, it was at an hour. So I was like, okay. I ended up editing it down to like 30 some odd minutes, but still a lot. Right now we're kind of working on the bathrooms. So there's the main like toilet stalls are downstairs and then the main shower stalls are upstairs. Downstairs is kind of like the mess hall kind of esque area. I know it's not a mess hall, but like a mess hall, little cafeteria, a little library area. Then there's like the lockers that I imagine that they would like store their weapons in, would kind of be like the armory per se. And then I have like a little med bay, and then I have a room for Mr. D and a room for Kyron. But yeah, this is kind of the one bathroom downstairs, and then we're gonna go into kind of this big open room where I have 3 main tables. I imagined that it would be like 2 rooms per, but there's not even enough chairs there for all of the beds I put in, because I end up putting a set of bunk beds, pretty much 2 sets of bunk beds in each room. So there's a set of bunk beds for each Greek godparent for the most part. There's an exception for Hades and Hecate, and then Hecate. Okay, I'm very sorry. I also listen to the audiobook. I don't actually read them, so I should be better at pronouncing them than I really am, but also I've learned that sometimes they pronounce them wrong, so there's that. But yeah, we're kind of getting this whole area together. I end up putting the cafeteria like serving station in here because that's personally how I prefer to play with Discovery University. Hello, Inez. Yes. I hope you could hear her meow there. But that's personally how I prefer to play, because then everything's all in one location. You don't have to travel to everything else. And I also felt like it could feel a little more campy. I end up putting some of the appliance cart that came with Adventure Awaits, as well as like a blender and a coffee maker, kind of things I imagined would be for good for a college student and a kind of the college-esque landscape. And then I put up a menu so you'd be able to order, and then I put some fancy drinks up, and I'm already yawning. This is not good. I mean, I finally opened I have an Ultra Human ring, and so like that tracks like my sleep progress, and I finally opened that, and it was like, you have 2 hours, you're 2 hours in sleep debt, and I was like, cute, okay. I don't know, I just have not been sleeping good recently. And I also have not been getting enough sleep, but also the not good sleep is good. Oh, also, you'll see I just put down that little tree with like the moon envelopes. In my headcanon, those are actually drachmas. And so like there's just money, like there's just golden drachmas there. Is it golden drachmas? I feel like that's the right term, but now I'm like, but imagine there's drachmas there for them to be able to send Iris messages home. I ended up putting some drachmas in Kyron's office. Here you'll see I had like a little library area with the research machine. It's also super expensive to come. I ended up, you'll see towards the end. Well, not towards the end. And eventually I have like an attic space. Oh, I guess I didn't even hit on that. I have an attic space for like the prophecies. And then I like carved out a little room for Rachel Elizabeth there. And so I ended up bringing her here to the playtest it. And so I hope that everything is how it should be in the gallery. But like when you playtest it, you always gamble, especially in the dorms, because if you haven't played with Discovery University before, when like other Sims are moving into the dorm because it's public housing, they're defaultly putting their furniture in open spots. So it could kind of mess with it. I think I went through and I tried to get rid of most of the things that weren't supposed to be there. But yeah, I also cluttered up a good chunk to make it look like they were doing research for an upcoming quest. I'm yawning again. That's good. I also have that balance. I had the little fireplace, so they have a spot to like offer some of their foods up to their great parents. In the back, I end up putting a little fireplace. We'll come back to that in a second. But now we're doing the little medical bay area where they're supposed to recover. And I used a lot of stuff from Get to Work, so like that hospital table, an IV, a little chair. I imagine that like Annabeth would sit there and wait for like Percy to wake up or something, and then like x-rays, even though like they're not taking that good care, but I figured maybe the IVs, they could like do a straight IV of ambrosia to help them fix up. And I also did that little cat because I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. And then I do a little shush sign to remind them that they need to be quiet and rest. And that's pretty much the majority of the little medical bay area. I was having so much fun doing this. I also put up little blinds. It took me a while to find that shush poster though, because I was like, I really just wanted like another like kind of defaultly motivational poster. Now we're going to Mr. D's room, where I put like this cards table, and then I end up putting a keg, and then I get a wine barrel and some wine racks. I also get some vitality nectar and end up putting that in that room. It's just on that barrel there. And so vitality nectar is like the wine you can drink in The Sims 4 that will make it so your Sims doesn't age up, which would be really good when you're at university, because like the amount of time it takes you to get through university is not proportional to how fast Sims age up most of the time. I also put a little cat in there for the guy oh my goodness, mind blanking, but you feed him sausages in one of them. And then we go to Kyron's office where he has books. I imagine he has these two little chairs. He has this old-fashioned computer where he's doing his research. I also did an animal print rug in Mr. D's room. There's like so many little touches just everywhere, and I feel like I'm gonna miss so many of them when I'm talking about it, because sometimes I'll just go off on random rants like about my Ultra Human ring. Like, no one cares, Allison, talk about the build. And then I was trying to find a gallery wall. I end up getting this one. I think it's either from Cats and Dogs or Dine Out, and it's a list of like people, and I imagine those are like demigods that Kyron has helped and like been successful. Obviously there's not a lot of those, so that's why. But I mean, you know, it's whatever. I imagine that they were, or maybe just like parents. And then I find that lamp is so perfect for Mr. D's room. And then there's the lamp in Kyron's room, and then we're kind of just gonna do, I think, kind of like the locker area next. Oh, obviously I do some phone and then some money. Oh, and I go back into the little living room. I put a game console out there and like a pop-up book. What else goes out there? Obviously, I end up going back and putting swords. There's some golden knight statues we go through and put in. So like I said, it's very expensive to go to university here. But, I imagine that if you want to play with this, you're okay using cheats. I also used literally almost probably every single pack that I own. So there's that. And then I put up a little debate thing, and here's where I kind of add the little armory with some lockers. And then up above it, I go and add in some swords. And then I end up replacing one of those swords with the archery from Adventure Awaits. Just because I figured it, yep, here we go. Just because I imagined it'd be a little bit different than having the same sword up there 3 times. Obviously, I don't want to download mods to be able to get obviously if I could download mods, this would be a completely different build, but I always want to try to challenge myself to do these within the constraints of The Sims 4. And so you'll see, hopefully next week I will have a Camp Jupiter build up, because I just finished the first half of it. I'm actually gonna do kind of 2 builds in one for it, because I'm gonna build it on Foxberry. Because then it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's so much fun. Also here, I loved what I did here. I found there's a little dragon statue, and I put out a bowl of golden fruit, and I was like, it's guarding the golden fleece right when you walk in. It's perfect. I don't know. I was just having so much fun with this that night. Actually, it was so much fun pretty much the entire time, except for when I got to some of the gods where I didn't know as much, and also while I'm doing Camp Jupiter. Obviously, I haven't read too terribly much of the second series, so I don't know too much, but they also don't apparently tell you a lot about it, so I know enough about what's happening and the 5 cohorts and all of that stuff. But now we're going upstairs to the attic, where I end up kind of, as you're seeing, I have right now I have it as half and half. I end up making it smaller because I was like, oh my god, her room is going to be massive. End up making it smaller, and then end up adding another wall. And so I also added 2 bathrooms up here, just because I figured better more bathrooms than enough, although it might be annoying because your Sims might try to default till you go to this toilet, and then they're climbing up 3 flights of stairs, or a flight of stairs and a ladder to go to this toilet. But I imagined that Rachel kind of was oh yeah, I'm just gonna, when I became the Oracle, I want a room here, and I'll just make it upstairs. And just kind of took some of her dad's money and renovated the entire attic. And so this half I imagined is totally new, updated, fresh. She kind of picked some of these things for herself. And then the other side is totally ran down. So is a bathroom on the other side, but it's has a broken tile. It ends up just having the knobs and spigots of the shower that came with Discover University. Here you'll see me pull some things out for Rachel's room, probably. Oh no, for this little corridor, which I imagine is stuff for their quests that they get. It's kind of camping equipment. There's some scuba diving equipment, which I think is interesting, but I was like, you know what? You never know what kind of quests these guys and gals gonna be going on. These pals. If you go into the Sea of Monsters, this new series. Oh yeah, that's obviously, oh my goodness. If you do not know, today, the day that I'm posting this, the next season of the Percy Jackson show on Disney Plus came out, and that's kind of the main motivator behind this. And also this last summer I've spent time reading it, and I was like, okay, it would be so much fun to try to build this in The Sims, just kind of combining my 2 hobbies. But yeah, so I mean, maybe it's not totally out of left field. You'll see I kind of put some crates around, and I have a rocking chair where I imagine Rachel would sit when she's giving her prophecies as the Oracle, even though it doesn't necessarily happen like that. I put some spider webs up Annabeth would hate, but it's like that. I also put up some rough and tough patches, some scratch work, some mold, and I also put a hole in the floor at some point. I don't remember when that is, but I just kind of wanted to make it look really attic-y up here. There's also no windows just because of how the roofing is. Also on the roof you'll see that I put some flags. They're yellow because there's no orange flags, and then I tried to bring in as much orange as I could throughout the entire build, which is why all of the window curtains are orange, all the chairs are orange, pretty much anything accented I tried to bring in that orange with. But yeah, here you see I like am adding little statues and like stuff that I think definitely adds to the cost of the build and maybe wasn't important, but kind of like adds to the lore. Like some of them look like they could be Greek statues. I also added a globe up here. I think that honestly might even be the globe bar, which I mean, they are at university. Let them do what they want to do. And then I add the little just like singular light that came from laundry day. And here we're doing the rundown bathroom where I just put like a basic toilet, the spigot, and the handles. We are like a third of the way through the video, and I'm always like, what are these words? All right, and now we're jumping into the actual dorm rooms. So up first, we're gonna have Aries and Athena's build room, and I did make it a quad. Like all of them are pretty much quads, like I said. So this first side that we're doing is kind of Aries, and then I bring in Athena's, and I imagine that these guys would like totally bump heads and hate rooming together because Athena's like always so like organized, try to make sure they have a plan. And then like Aries, I imagine them as kind of like the jock. Their sides are really messy. This room definitely does have the most detail, and it's because I know both of these Greek gods really well. I also really know, obviously, Poseidon and Aphrodite decently well, but the other ones we know, at least I know a little bit less, and so it was a little bit harder for me to like fully dive in and create as much backstory. But I have like this punching bag, and I have like throwing stars, and there's this mirror that's broken. I have a whole bunch of books everywhere for the Athena kids. I end up getting this little pig statue to represent the boar for Aries. I get some owls everywhere. I get blinds, obviously. Those are needed in a college dorm room when you're trying to sleep in. Here I pull out a desk for the Athena kids. I also pull out this really, really fancy computer for like Thedalus's laptop. I think there is actually like a gold one, and I should have got that out, but I was like, that would just scream. I think it's a gold like ultra wide monitor. It just didn't scream Thedalus's laptop to me, which is kind of what I was aiming for. But yeah, here I get the little owl statue out as well to kind of represent the Athena kids. Yeah, what else was going on in here? I don't know. This room is so detailed, and I love how this one turned out. It's like one of the ones I'm most happy with. This one, also Hermes and Hephaestus is pretty good, and so is Poseidon and Aphrodite. Those are probably like my top 3 rooms, and then Hades and Hecate is pretty good. Honestly, Apollo and Zeus's room might be my least favorite, but that's just because my PC turned back on. I was like, oh, something is on my PC. But here you'll see I'm like putting up a ton of posters. The amount of stuff in this room compared to the amount of the stuff in the Camp Jupiter rooms that I was just doing is actually wild, because I tried to really pare it down because it felt like more. I also put that skull down there to try to represent the head of the boar, but I mean, I don't know if it really gets the vibe across, if it's the same, but it felt right. Also, you're going to see that I used a whole bunch of like that stack of 2 books, the purple and the orange. Perfect call to Camp Half-Blood and Camp Jupiter. So I was like, as much as I can, I'm going to use that. I didn't use it as much in this build. I used it a lot in the other build, pretty much on every single desk. But like I see, you'll have to tune in next week for that one. The video is probably just gonna be about as equally as long. Yeah, probably maybe a little bit shorter, to be honest. The first one, yeah, honestly, it's probably gonna be more like a normal length video. This one I just was going ham on, and then I was like, I don't really honestly want to edit out any of this because like all of it is important, you know. So like, why? Oh, hello, Inez. I hope you can. She just made that little noise as she's jumping up onto my lap. And I think now we're getting towards the end of this. Oh no, we still actually have a lot left in this room. Oh my god, this room is like, took me about as long as it takes me to like build some apartments, it seems like. But I have like color swatches up, some files. I still haven't got out the computer, oh my goodness. And then there's also, I get out an owl backpack. You saw that I put up a whole bunch of trophies for the Aries kids. I imagine, obviously, they're always winning. Point blank, they do not settle for second. There's the owl backpack that I was talking about, as well as another backpack. Aries kid stuff is laying along the floor. Hi, Inez. She's just staring at me like, I see that your mouth is moving, kind of confused about that. I also added this little side table right there, which I imagined was where like everyone would be dropping their keys. This dorm room would be so stuffed full of things. And I imagine that it would be very annoying for the Athena kids because it'd be super annoying for me. Honestly, I've taken 2 or 1. I think I've only taken 1, like what Greek god would be my parent, and I got Hades, which is interesting. I don't know a lot about what that says about me because I have not read a lot about that. I mean, I know a little bit about what it means about me, but there is that. But if I were to pick one of the rooms to stay in, which room would I want to stay in? It's probably either, honestly, as much as I just said, probably the Hades and Hectes room. Oh my god, it's gonna bother one of my friends so much that I keep pronouncing that name wrong, and I apologize to you, but it just is what it is. Hecate, I think is how you say it, but I'm sure that they will message me once they've heard me say it wrong for the 15th time. But now we're finally going into Poseidon's and Aphrodite's room, and this version, I do have 2 Poseidon bunks because I imagine maybe Tyson could come visit, and also apparently there's a brief hint that there might be more Poseidon kids out there. I don't know that, but that's what I was told from my friend, so I will just believe them, blindly believe them. But as I was saying, this Aphrodite one, I don't imagine it's like Piper's version of Aphrodite. I almost imagine it as being like Drew's version of Aphrodite, where it's just like all about the dating, and obviously they're in college as well, so like they are also once again all about the dating, and they pretty much made it so Poseidon's kids only got like that little tiny corner. That's it. And I honestly kind of love them for that. I think it's hilarious, and I feel like Percy would be like, yeah, that's fine, it's whatever, I just need a bed to sleep in. I also love that I like put this mirror like not on a wall, just kind of on that, and then I clutter up this vanity. We put up some roses. I really wanted a box of chocolates to kind of go for Selena Beauregard's, but that apparently you can get like just a singular chocolate out of Dewog, because in Lovestruck, a lot of this stuff is from Lovestruck. There's like the romance book and those flowers, and then I end up getting more things we'll see here in a second, but you can't just get the box of chocolates, which is dumb because you can give a box of chocolates, but I think it just like in the animation it just comes in like a regular gift box, and so that's why there's no box of chocolates. But there's like a pink little one there. There's some nail polish, the romance book. I end up putting down some pumps and like a bag, and then I pull out the pair of Kiss, like the lip couch. Well, actually, at first I think I pulled out the heart chair, and I was like, okay, this is good. And then I was like, oh my god, there's the Kiss couch. And then I pulled the Kiss couch, and I'm like, yeah, they're totally just gonna take this entire thing from the Poseidon kids, because like, why wouldn't they? Out there, I'm like, okay, the cheer couch, and I'm like, nope, the lip couch is coming out to play. I fear it must. And then I also added oh my god, I completely forgot I added like the woohoo game underneath their nightstand, because I was like, oh, they're kids, they're fine. I add that like little glow in the dark, or not glow in the dark, the LED hearts, some I wanted to add some posters here, but I ended up adding the Kiss, not with a P, with a K, the Kiss lips poster, and then I add this little penguin that I imagine maybe one of their boyfriends got for them, or partners. And then I add this little desk over here for the Poseidon, and I'm gonna actually decorate the Poseidon stuff now. I end up getting out this rug. I believe it's from Season. It's got like this kind of like I don't know, it reminds me of an avocado shape to it. And I literally was like, okay, this is the perfect time to use it, because I never use rugs like that. And then I also end up getting a little fishbowl and putting it inside the little like wardrobe here, because I imagine that like when Tyson's not there, that way Percy has someone to talk to and communicate with. But just a little desk there for them. And then at the foot of the bed, I end up getting out like another wardrobe rack. And I imagine that Aphrodite like pretends like, oh no, yeah, like that's it. Oh, I also add the skateboards with the squid. So cute. I loved adding these things to like these wardrobes. I thought it was amazing that I was treating it like wall space. Such an innovator. And then I add like the heart-shaped Polaroids down there on the bottom bunk, and then just a laundry basket. And then, like I was saying, I add I also add that little chess trophy to call back to blackjack. But I add this little, like I've said for the millionth time now, oh my goodness, words are really starting to get hard. We're at over the halfway point though, so we're doing great. This little wardrobe rack that I imagine that they, Aphrodite kids, it's their clothes, but they're like, oh no, that's like your rack, Percy. But Percy's like, there's literally no room on it for my stuff. It's whatever, guys. Like, kids don't really care. Up next, we're going to go do, this is Dionysus and Demeter's room, and I add the vertical planters, and then I end up putting in grape, like already grown plants. This is also one where there isn't 4 in this one. There's just 3. I also put a mini fridge in here because, like, these guys would. One thing that I wish that I would have also put in this one would have been, like, some LEDs or some string lights just to kind of give it a little bit more party vibes. Because, I mean, I gave them a keg, and I also give them, like, this love seat underneath that lofted bed. But there I added, like, excellent grape plants. I also didn't give them any curtains because I imagined that the Demeter group would want as much light as possible. And I added a drink tray as well. More party vibes. But not too terribly much. And there's also 3 in this tiny room, and the Hades and Hecate. Like I'm saying, I'm going to say the Hades room from now on because I know that me mispronouncing it is bothering them. And instead of pausing it and asking them how to, well, actually, I think they're taking a nap, so I can do that. How to pronounce it, I'm just gonna keep going because why not? But yeah, we're just gonna keep on going with it. But the Hades room it's the same size as this and only has 2 beds, and so we're throwing an extra person into here, so it's even more cramped, and it's already like a really small room. Like, this seems like probably the size of the dorm room that I had my freshman year of college, and I can't imagine, well, I mean, I could imagine 3 people in there, but it would be so tight. I would not have wanted to sacrifice any of my closet space or any what did I have underneath my bed? I don't even know. It wasn't lofted that high, I don't think. I don't even know. But now we're going to Hades' room and the other Greek parent who I've mispronounced horribly. Greek god, the Queen of the Mist. I'm honestly just learning a whole bunch about her now in the Book of Hades. And there was not a bed that was the right shade of, like, a magenta for her. Like, I really would have liked if there was, like, a bed the shade of the seance table that I added in here. I also go up and I add a seance table in the attic as well. But I added a whole bunch of stuff in this room from Life and Death, obviously, because it is Hades and it is the other Greek god whose name I will not say. And I just felt like that was totally fitting for this room. So I added a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. I ended up moving the seance table here in a minute and adding a desk and then adding more. I think I had a little fridge with a cow plant. Yeah, like the cow plant in the glass. I think it comes from paranormal stuff. So I had like a lot of paranormal stuff in this room and a lot of life and death, which, I mean, goes with this so well. And then upstairs I go up and add the seance table. I also make sure that like the crystal ball is green because the oracle eyes glow green. So I was like, yes, that is needed. And there's a mini fridge, and then I will pull out, I imagine, well, I do like an old fashioned laptop, and then I eventually pull out the cow plant. Yep. And then some other fun things that's from paranormal stuff. And then I add this like moon painting over in the corner. I add the mirror from Werewolves, which is like my favorite. It's like the crescent mirror. I think it looks like it has amethyst on it in this one, but I could totally be wrong. And then I add a little love seat from Paranormal Stuff, which is just chef's kiss. That room turned out so perfect. And now we're going into Zeus's and Apollo's room, which doesn't turn out bad. I don't know. I feel like I don't know Zeus that well, and there's really just like Jason and Thalia for me to base everything off of. And Thalia is like anti-Zeus, so hardcore that she's like a goth baddie. And so like Hi, yes. And I feel like that's just like, I was like, okay, I can't really pull that in because then you won't really get that it's Zeus. And so for Zeus, I just used like blues and tried to put like clouds and stuff over there. And then I just kind of decorated it as if it was for Jason. And I'm always told that Jason's like Captain America. And so I just like did like the stereotypical jock football guy stuff. So like a football, and that stuff. But then for Apollo, I added like musical instruments, I add archery, I add posters, I imagine, that were from like Broadway shows. Yeah, like some musical instrument, then a Broadway one, and then like a little flamingo one. Obviously add some little blinds in here. But yeah, what else we got? Oh, a beanbag chair. Yeah, like this room didn't turn out bad. I just feel like it also probably looks like the most like a dorm room, if I'm being honest. But also throw out a ping pong table. Yeah, out in that middle area, I end up doing kind of like just like your stereotypical group college activities, as if there weren't any RAs here or anything like that. But what else we got? I feel like there's so much rambling I could still be doing, and I'm not quite sure what to be rambling about. Oh, I also put a weathering machine upstairs because I imagine, like, obviously, well, Jason can kind of like summon storms, and I figured that's what you could use the weather machine to summon storms. But other than that, I'm just like, oh, what is there for me to add here? I don't know. I didn't know. But yeah, I'm so excited. You'll see me popping back and forth because as I'm scrolling through things, I see things I want to add to other places. Like I found like that skull and crossbone, and I was like, oh, that'd be perfect to add into Hades' room. And then I also pull out this energy poster because it has all that lightning in the background, which I think just like that lightning in the background, it like is what I see Jason as. It's also like purple for Jason because he's from Camp Jupiter. And he's Roman, so it just like fits perfectly. But yeah, the Zeus's side of this room is a little bit lacking stuff to be desired. I also did an umbrella stand. I was just trying to figure out what other like weather things I could do. I ended up putting in a telescope just to kind of, I don't know, look at the weather. I mean, that's not what you do with a telescope. Also, sadly, most of the Hephaestus cabin got not recorded on accident. So the Hermes and Hephaestus cabins are over there. I add like the robotic station, and then there's that poster with a dragon, which I imagine is Hephaestus. Not Hephaestus. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I'm blanking. But it's the dragon that Leo fixes up. Oh my god. And it then turns into the Argo too. Oh my god, can you tell it's been a while since I listened to The Lost Hero. I also get like this little toolkit. There's a whole bunch of letters over on the Hermes side because I imagined there's that. And then you'll see here I pull out some shoes to kind of call to the shoes that Luke gave Percy. And there's also sleeping bags on the floor because Hermes is like for lost travelers. And so I imagine that some people stay with them. I also put some like oil spills underneath the turbo station. And now we're kind of going through and doing the upstairs little fun area. So like on the one side, I kind of have it being more fun. And on the other side, I have it being more like study focused. The study focus is on the Athena side because I know that Annabeth would be running that ship so tightly. And so I bring up one of the chairs from downstairs and then a rug and the desks, not the desks. I'm looking for the word is chairs. But on the party side, I have the ping pong table, like the fishes, Inez is hopping onto her cat tree. So if you just heard that, that's what that is. Some chairs. I put up a chalkboard. What else? Oh, obviously some swords. There's a whole bunch of those swords and shields. Yeah, that's the right word. I was like, it's not shield. It is a shield. Everywhere. But yeah, and then I put some bookcases over there. We are slowly getting towards the end of the video, which is kind of shocking. I also put a cauldron up here, which would have been so peak, but it counts as a cooking object, and you're not allowed to have like a stove or any like outdoor cooking on university housing lots. So that's kind of annoying. That's also why there's not like an actual kitchen. But I put the globe board, some bookcases, a little desk, not a little desk, a chair. Oh, I do the archaeological, I think I said that word right. Station that comes with Jungle Adventure, as well as like a ruin to put above it. I imagine that just kind of like fit with the vibes that would be over here. You know, it just seemed right. A little tapestry, and then we go upstairs and do Rachel's room, which is just a whole bunch of the stuff from the artist studio kit. And we are actually getting towards the end of the video, and also accidentally a whole bunch of it cut out because I went into the gallery to get it a pre-painted mural, and then I forgot to hit record. And so you'll really have to stick around for the screenshots if you want to see that. But there's a whole bunch of painting stuff, sculpting stuff. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of fun stuff. And so please stick around to see that. Thank you all so much for staying with me. I'm so sorry that I've been rambling for so long. I'll try not to make any posts or videos this long again, but I will not probably keep that promise because this was a lot of fun and I enjoyed doing it. But yeah, this build is available on the gallery under #AlPalsGames or under my Origin ID. All of that stuff will be in the description below. And here we are towards the end of Rachel's room. If you've made this far, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really means a lot to me that you're here listening to me ramble and doing this thing that makes me so happy. Thanks. See you guys next week. Bye.